This section examines diesel fuel injection. All diesel engines draw air only past the intake valve into the cylinder. A high-pressure fuel injection system injects fuel into the cylinder. The amount of fuel injected is varied to suit the load on the engine and to control engine speed. Intake air volume does not change. In a basic diesel fuel system, a fuel tank holds the diesel fuel. A lift pump takes fuel from the tank. It keeps the injection pump full of fuel. A sedimenter removes any water and larger particles in the fuel. A fuel filter removes minute particles. An injection pump delivers fuel under very high pressure to the injectors along injector pipes. It must send the correct amount of fuel, and it must send it at the correct time in the engine cycle. An injector at each cylinder sprays fuel into each combustion chamber. Leak-off pipes take fuel used for cooling and for lubrication from the injection pump and injectors back to the tank. They also help to remove air from the system. A governor controls engine speed, and a control lever on the governor is connected to the accelerator pedal. The basic system is divided into two sections. This is the low-pressure side. The low-pressure side cleans the fuel and delivers it to the high-pressure side, or fuel injection system. Dirt and water will damage a diesel fuel injection system. The highly polished components need a very efficient filtration system to ensure all traces of dirt and water are removed. The highly polished finish is achieved by lapping two components together to form a matched set. Matched components must not be interchanged after lapping is completed. The high-pressure side of the fuel injection system must raise the pressure of the fuel high enough to open an injector. This allows the fuel to be forced into the combustion chamber at the correct time. A light automotive diesel engine typically has a higher compression ratio than a comparable petrol engine. This high compression ratio heats the air in the combustion chamber to a temperature high enough to ignite the fuel when it is injected. High injection pressures are needed to overcome the compression and combustion pressures in the combustion chamber and break up the fuel into small particles. Because of these high pressures, the injector pump and the injector are made from highly polished and accurately sized components. The injector pump can be an inline type, and it is driven by the engine. Or it can be a rotary type, also driven by the engine. The quantity of air taken in on the intake stroke is not controlled by the driver. The driver controls how much fuel is delivered to the engine. A characteristic of all diesel engines is that at a fixed fuel setting, the amount of fuel delivered to the engine will increase as engine speed and pump speed increases. This is called the rising characteristic of the fuel injection system, and unless it is controlled, overspeeding of the engine will result. Also, because combustion pressures are greater in a diesel engine than in a comparable petrol engine, the components are stronger and heavier. The higher mass of these reciprocating and rotating components needs to be controlled, or damaging forces could be generated. To achieve this control, all diesel engines use a governor to control how much fuel is delivered from the injection pump to the injectors and into the engine. There are several types of governors. Some operate mechanically, some are pneumatic, and some are hydraulic. Diesel engines need assistance to make cold starting easier. Most diesel fuel injection systems inject extra fuel when starting to ensure sufficient fuel will vaporize and burn in the combustion chamber. Indirect injection engines may also use heater plugs or glow plugs, which usually screw directly into the combustion chamber. They only heat the air and do not begin the combustion.